All right, thanks for tuning into Leading Forecast. And we haven't done one of these in a little while, so we do have some severe weather coming up over the next couple of days. So I do want to talk about that here as quickly as possible. I've had several people ask me what my thoughts are, so I guess I'll just post them up here, and you can take them for what you think they are worth. Going on over to the water vapor imagery. This is at mid levels of the atmosphere. You can see this big spin in the atmosphere, well, rather right here. This is the 500 millibar low that we've been watching, and the trough that's starting to dig in. And that's the trough right there, and your low sitting right in here. And this is going to move through and eventually up the central plains into the Midwest as we get into the next few days. Going on over current rain, taking a look at radar, you can see there's not a lot of major stuff going on. There's some showers associated with that 500 millibar low as we get into the western portion of the United States, and we also have some showers up here across northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, over the lake, and then even over southern Michigan right now. Severe weather risk today. There's your slight risk for damaging winds, maybe some hail as we get a little, or as we progress through the afternoon, nighttime hours, but nothing too major. Tomorrow, slight risk out across the Texas, Oklahoma panhandle into central Kansas. Damaging winds, large hail, and I think there'll probably be a few tornado reports down here across the Caprock. There in the Texas Panhandle. 15% probability tomorrow for severe weather in that area. Slight risk as we get into Saturday here. This is the big day everybody's talking about, and this is why we have a 30% risk of severe weather out across that area from Iowa, Missouri, up towards southwestern. Good night. I need something to drink here. Southwestern Wisconsin and southeastern Minnesota and northwestern Illinois here, but I think this 30% risk may be moved farther south depending on how these models go over the next, especially the 0Z run tonight. It will be interesting because they're starting to bring it a little farther south. Taking a look, this is the 12Z NAM. Here's your low pressure center right here at 500 millibar. This is by the time we get into tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time in the plains. You can see this is a closed low at this point. Here's your 500 millibar wind starting to streak out of New Mexico, pointing up towards Denver, and some very strong winds at 500 millibar blowing out of the southwest. As we get into 12Z early morning on Saturday, you can see the winds still streaking strong. We still do have that closed low here that's starting to move over northern Colorado. But watch what happens as we get into Saturday afternoon. Your low becomes open. You don't have a closed low anymore. We're sticking with that neutral tilted trough here, almost slightly, I don't know, I wouldn't say slightly positive. But here's your strong winds at 500 millibar. They're starting to blow out of kind of the south and southwest here. And these were kind of up here, but the latest runs have moved them farther, much farther south. As we get into, this is 850 millibar winds. This is lower in the atmosphere. You can see these are nice for tornado environments. These are from the south and southeast here out across this area, across the Texas Panhandle as we get into Friday, late Friday afternoon into early Friday night. And then as we get into late Saturday rather, look at these winds. They go from being, kind of out of the south and southeast down here on Friday, and now out of the southwest up here. And that's kind of a green, 500 millibar, 850 millibar and winds are now out of the southwest up here, and we'll show you the surface winds, and we'll talk about all this in just a second. The Cape values as we get into tomorrow, almost 22 joules per kilogram down across the Amarillo area, and some decent Cape out here across the Kansas-Oklahoma line as well. And then as we get into early afternoon on Saturday, you can see we have about 800 or 1800 joules per kilogram of Cape into the Kansas City all the way up into central Iowa. Taking a look, this is the EHI value. This is kind of measuring not only the instability but the shear in the atmosphere. Anytime we get above a 3, that's pretty decent. That could be conductive for some tornadoes. This is the 3-kilometer EHI, and you can see we do have a 3.63 at its highest mark here from, say, Elk City over towards Amarillo as we get into Friday afternoon. And Saturday, you can notice we just don't have the EHI values, and it's not really because we have lower Cape values. It's just because we don't have as much wind shear within the atmosphere, causing the atmosphere to really rotate. And you can see much lesser values here of anywhere between about, in Iowa, about 1.75. But down here across Oklahoma and Kansas, we may see as much as like 2.5. Going on over, this is the surface winds. Look at these backed out of the southwest here as we get into Friday afternoon. I really think this atmosphere down here across the Texas Panhandle could end up being relatively conductive, or conductive for tornadoes. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't think we're going to see any kind of major outbreak with this. Saturday, though, low pressure center starts to come up here at surface levels. Here's your warm front coming in through here. Winds, though, are starting to back out of the kind of the southwest, and that's just not good. That creates a lot of forcing when you back all the winds at each level, from mid levels to 500, the lower levels at 850, and then surface winds all from the southwest. And generally, that tells me that these are probably going to be forced together in a line pretty quickly as we get into Saturday afternoon. So I think your tornado threat becomes more minimal, I guess, if you will. It becomes less Saturday afternoon than what we originally thought that it would be. Going on over, this is the surface chart as well as the precip chart. You can see this is by 7 p.m. on Saturday Central Time. You can see those thunderstorms going out across the Amarillo area. By 12 p.m. you can see we have a low, or 12Z, our low sits here, and our warm front sits here. We have a lot of crap going on here in the warm sector of the storm system here, which could limit our instability. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. And then your low sits here on Saturday, your warm front draping across the Great Lakes region, with your cold front now draping across the Central Plains. Storms, some of these could be severe along the warm front, and then some severe storms going on along the cold front. A lot of damaging winds and hail. I doubt we'll see a major tornado outbreak of any sort on Saturday, but we will see probably some embedded tornadoes in the squall line that develops as we get into the afternoon. So anyways, that's all we have for the day. If you're going to be in these areas from Amarillo, Elk City, into Kansas on Friday, or up towards the Great Plains and Midwest on Saturday, Iowa, Northern Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, keep an eye on the weather and stay weather aware. That's all I have. Have a great weekend.